Abby here from Ballerinas by Night. Today I am back to do more of my Well-Trained Dancer series. Please keep in mind that this is meant to be very introductory information to the basic steps we would go through in a class. This is really meant for people that are just starting. You know, when you first walk into ballet class, if you've been out of it for a long time or if you've never gone, you hear so many terms, you get so many steps introduced to you that it can be really confusing. You might not be sure what those terms were. So I'm trying to put this together so that it's kind of almost like a visual dictionary of a very, very basic class, so that if you need to go through and break down the steps of a class slowly and just remember what you just learned, that you can. So I'm hoping this can kind of like help some of you speed up the process of being able to go back into a class and be like, oh, okay, that's what that was, and this is what I need to be doing. So I'm going to give you the term, I'm going to give you the 3 main points of information about it, and 3 main points of tips to think about, common corrections you might get right at the beginning. So let's get started. All right, so first things first, rond de jambe in terms of ballet means circle of the leg. Now we've done our tendus and we've done our dégagés, and we are remembering with that when we extend, we're trying to disconnect from the hip. So we never want to take our hip with us, and this is going to be the same in rond de jambe. Rond de jambe can go en dehors, meaning front to the back, or en dedans, back to the front. One of the main things we want to keep in mind is if we were going to do tendus en croix, we would go front, side, back, en croix, we would go to the side again. Our rond de jambe, we want to think of very much hitting those same points. In tendus, we want to emphasize that we're always trying to hit the same point on the floor. If we were to do tendus to the front, we're going out, 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 and if I had a dot on the floor, I should be hitting that same dot every single time. Same thing to the side, I'm hitting the same point on the floor every single time, same thing to the back. So for rond de jambe, we definitely want to do the same thing. Wherever we would be tendu to the front, tendu to the side, tendu to the back. Again, if you imagine having dots on the floor, then now we're just kind of playing connect the dots. En dehors, we would go front to the side, to the back, closing back to first. And rond de jambes are actually, they can be done in 4 counts. Now some curriculum will want you to start in first on 1 and go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some will want you to go 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, consistency and accuracy are key. You want to try and reach the same point every time. Now this can begin to be sped up. We might go 1, carry back 2. Now, although it's smoother and faster, we're hitting the same points front, side, back. A step beyond that would be that we would go and 1, close, and 2, close, okay? So from the side, so you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 1, and 2. En dedans, exact same thing, just starting from the back. So we would have back, side, front. Right here, we're bringing the toes back. 5, 6, and 7, and 8. So the 3 points of rond de jambe, of what the step is, the definition is circle of the leg. En dehors is front, side, back, close. En dedans, back, side, front. Moving faster, you're going front to the back evenly through first, front to the back evenly through first, or back to the front, through first, back to the front, through first. 3 common corrections you're going to get or could get straight away. Number one, most teachers will tell you very, very quickly into this, no hula hoop hips. It's very easy, again, to not disconnect the leg, to take the hip with you a little bit, and then you get kind of this kind of a thing. That's exaggerated, but even just a little bit of that can really distort what the rond de jambe is. Because what we're trying to do with your ball and socket joint in the hip joint, this is really meant to warm up the hips. So if this is your leg, you're trying to move the bone independently of the hip. If you start moving both together, then you're not really going to be warming that up the way you need to. So you want to be able to go, I'm moving this independently and really getting this warm. Cat's going to the bathroom. The next correction you're going to get, possibly, one of the next things that I see quite frequently is not continuing to engage the supporting side. So even if you're thinking, I'm really disengaging and I'm really working this leg, it's easy to get this just not lifted so that then it becomes a little bit like I'm sitting into this hip and doing my rond de jambe, which is, it's really gonna hurt your body. We have two hips, we have two sides of our back sides, and they're both involved in our turnout, and they have to be involved equally. In fact, the more you can actually think of your supporting side, so many people when they think of turning out, they think of the working leg. Oh, I'm going to turn out, I'm going to turn out the working leg. It's actually the standing leg that you need to think about a lot more. That if you will be lifted, and especially that little magic place right there, engaged up, then what you need to do with the working leg will happen a lot more closely to what we want. It's not to say it's going to be perfect. In fact, you may even feel like, well, now I feel like my working leg isn't as turned out as I would like, but it will be more correct. And then you'll actually know what you need to work on to get that working leg, trying to find those muscles to wrap around and rotate. Whereas if you're just letting this go, you might be like, oh, look how rotated I am, but you're really not because it's not correct on the supporting side. And as you start to take the leg higher, it's really, really hard to do all these développés. And eventually rond de jambe will move on there where it might be 45 or 90 and you'll be carrying the leg all the way around. So at that point, if your standing hip is not working how it needs to, then all of that just gets harder and harder, nigh on impossible. Third correction has to do with how we pass through first. So if we're going front to the back, we want to make sure we don't get this thing, which again a lot of times then kind of starts to involve the hips. So from here, we drop the toes. You want to think of almost coming into a mini fourth and bringing the heel forward so that by the time you're in first, you're just naturally passing through first. And then you lead with the heel, delay the toes out. En dedans, it's going to be the opposite. You're going to be here. It's going to be pull the toes back so we don't get this and then have to turn it out or just pass through like that. So toes pull back and then leading to come around. And again, keeping really, really, really lifted and up and around and up and. So I think those are my main tips for rond de jambe to make sure that you're just getting the very basics of this step correct. And there's so much going on with all of these basic, what we would consider beginning ballet steps. But there's a reason that in a curriculum, a lot of times if we're teaching children, we only teach them a few things at a time because you're trying to build that foundation and build the foundation and build the foundation. With adults, a lot of times, because cognitively we can process more information, it's much more might be given to us at once. So again, hopefully this will just help you that if you need to review or just be aware of some of those little elements that maybe just because classes, it's not that your teachers aren't saying them, but It's just the fact that, you know, we're always trying to process so much information in any ballet class. And every step has a million things to think about and a million things going on. So in my opinion, in my years of teaching, these are the few that I feel like are commonly things that everyone could probably hear again, but also very, very good for beginners. So I hope this has helped you. Please let me know in the comments below, and I hope to be bringing you more technique videos soon. Bye!